Hello, everyone. In this new series called Ancient Wisdom, I'll be covering a series of posts where I'll talk about some of the beliefs that the ancient societies across the world, especially India, had. And most of these beliefs were earlier dismissed as superstitions without having any scientific base. And now, when science has advanced and there has been more research, many of these earlier beliefs have actually been proven to be true. So the first in the series which I'll be covering is called The Importance of Sun. Why Sun was considered as a divine entity by civilizations across the world. This was not something one-off case or some exceptions, but if we look at most of the ancient societies, we would find a recurring pattern that almost all of them considered Sun as divine, as central to all the deities they worshipped. And if we look at the Egyptians, they used to worship Atum, who was their solar god. Inca had Inti. The ancient Germanic tribes used to worship Sol. The Greeks used to worship Helios. And the Nordics in Northern Europe used to worship Baldur. And the most prominent of all these was Surya Devta, which was the personification deity for sun, worshipped by the ancient Hindus. And this is one exception where most of the civilizations which I talked about, like the ancient Egyptians or Norse or Inca, Mayans, they have all disappeared now. But Hindu beliefs are still existent and practiced by many of the Indians. And one of the uh, popular practice which we can still see today across India is that they worship all the main celestial bodies like Sun, Moon, Mars, Jupiter. They are all revered in divine forms. And Sun is considered to be the central and strongest and a pivotal figure in all these celestial bodies, and who is worshipped as Suryadev or Suryadevta. And he has been considered in the ancient script as the sustaining energy behind all life forms on earth. And in India, he has a special place that the daily worship which all the people do at their home, there would be a special ritual or puja called the morning and the evening puja, which would include worshipping at the time of sunrise and sunset. So the practices would be centered around the movement of sun. And in India also there is a very popular daily exercise called Surya Namaskar, which literally translates to giving a salutation or saying namaste to sun. And sun movement has been a important indicator since ancient times in India. And summer solstice is celebrated as a major festival where the harvesting festival starts in all parts and different areas, zones, and states of India. It is always celebrated in some form. And another practice which is very common across parts of India as well as in other civilizations that worshipped sun is that solar eclipse was always considered a bad omen, and people used to avoid going outside during the eclipse time. Now, if we move at that, what was the gap? Why sun, which used to be a popular figure as a deity across all the civilizations, why did it lose value? And now, when we look at outside India, when we look at all the other societies, why it doesn't have any place? It was the reason was that as with time, the monotheistic religions like Judaism of Jews, Christianity, and Islam, they grew and became more popular and started spreading around. There was a clear misalignment with their beliefs and the older societies and their cultures, and they considered sun worship as a pagan belief which was not relevant in the modern world, and it did not have a place in the modern society. And because of this conflict, slowly most of these ancient belief systems which gave a high importance to sun, they started disappearing. And some similar incidents happened in India as well, because during the colonial era, when the Britishers came to India, then slowly they started looking down on many of the practices and beliefs of the native Indians, and they tried to convince them that their traditional beliefs were not in sync with the modern times. And despite this indoctrination by the Britishers running for over 200 years, still somehow in India, this beliefs and practice of the ancient Hinduism and their religious beliefs and customs have still survived, but though we have to consider that it has reduced a bit. So, because if we look at now what percentage of people actively believe in it and follow it, it has definitely and drastically come down compared to what it used to be before the colonial era. But if we now come back to what has been the new scientific discoveries and what are the revelations based on the advancements which is happening by the research, we find that there is an irony that all the things which were earlier dismissed as being pagan beliefs without having any scientific base, which were dismissed as nonsense by many of the new cultures and new societies, they are now being proven to be right. For example, now the modern science has proven that the sun's rays are used by plants through the process called photosynthesis to produce and create their food, which is useful for their growth. So basically, all plant-based life form in the world is sustained through sun's rays. And also for humans, sunlight, the best source of getting vitamin D is sunlight. And that also another useful thing to notice here is the best time to absorb this vitamin D by the human body is during the morning and evening. So if we compare it to the ancient rituals, which was included doing a morning ritual and an evening ritual to the sun god, this is directly linked to that, that maybe they had some existing knowledge that this is important and these timings around the sun are important for the human form. And also now as the science is focusing more on what how the movement of sun controls the weather, season, ocean current, the climate, everything around the world, which is based on the natural environment and surroundings. So now people have started realizing that how important it is to understand and notice the sun's movement. And other also point is that now people, even scientists advise that people should not go outside and be careful when they're outside during solar eclipse, that because it can blind you if you look at the sun during the solar eclipse. And I won't be surprised that if in the future there are more effects of the solar eclipse which come up. And I think the more people research and try to understand about the sun, the more it will come into a full circle, that more they'll realize that how many of the ancient beliefs actually had a solid foundation and they actually made sense. And let me know if you found this video useful, and I'll definitely be posting more content related to the ancient wisdom. And thanks for watching.